I'm a 27-year-old woman who's been a member of my city's police force for 6 years. During that time I've seen some pretty fucked up shit, but my first call stands out simply because of the sheer cruelty and depravity involved. My partner and I responded to a call about a domestic disturbance in a nearby apartment complex. The woman who made the call claimed to have heard screams from the apartment across the hall, but when she knocked on the door, the only answer she got was heavy, raspy breathing. "I hope nobody's hurt," I remarked as we crested a hill, coming into view of the building. To tell you the truth, I'm kinda nervous. My partner, an officer for 4 years named Cole Morrison, placed a comforting hand on my shoulder. "It's gonna be okay." "I don't know, I mean, just look at me. I'm a 5'1", 90-pound woman, barely in her 20s. Who will take me seriously as a cop?" Cole's eyes flashed dangerously. "What did McCoy say to you?" "Yesterday, he said to me, ever since you've joined the force, you've been nothing but a burden." Cole pounded on the steering wheel. "That prick, I'm going to shove my gun up his ass and pull the trigger." "That's too good for him," I grumbled. Kevin McCoy was a rookie like me, but since I was a young woman in a male-dominated environment, he considered me vastly inferior to him. Hell, the prick looked down on all women and didn't keep it a secret. Cole parked the cruiser right in front of the building, which seemed like a nice place at first, at least from the outside. We went inside and took the elevator to the 3rd floor. A young woman with short brown hair was waiting for us. Her face was lighter than marble and she was biting her lip hard enough to draw blood. "Thank God you're here," she gasped, pointing to the door that read 302. "Something really bad is going on in there." "We'll handle this," said Cole. "Get back into your apartment." She nodded and did as she was told. Steeling myself, I marched right up to the door and knocked 3 times. "Open up," I ordered. "This is the police." There was a click at the front door and it opened, just a little crack. A little girl, no older than 11, stuck her head out and gasped when she saw Cole and I. I didn't do anything. She squealed, "Please don't take me to jail." "Sweetie, it's okay," I cooed. "We're not here to arrest you. We just want to make sure everything's okay." She shook her head. "No, just go away." "Are your parents home? Anyone we can talk to?" There was a shrill scream from inside. The girl winced, her huge aquamarine eyes filled with a level of terror no child should ever have to feel. "He'll kill you too," she hissed. "Who?" Cole demanded, but something from the other side violently yanked the girl away from the door. Her screams were cut off by a sickening thud. I gasped and Cole threw open the door. The little girl was crumpled on the floor, a pool of blood surrounding her head. I was so horrified it took me a moment to notice what a mess the apartment was. There were holes in the walls, the furniture was knocked over, and more blood was smeared across every surface. "Jesus," I muttered. A gargling noise made me jump. I whirled around for Cole and found him standing over the body of a woman, at least what had once been a woman. She was beaten, swollen and covered in blood, and frankly looked more of a slab of raw meat than an actual person. Every breath she took caused blood to bubble out of her nose and mouth. Her head was twisted at a weird angle, and I remember thinking it was a miracle that she was still alive. "Jesus," Cole muttered. I was speechless. How could my first call be something like this? I put my hand on my gun, praying that if push came to shove, I'd have the courage to use it. "Haley," said Cole, "I'm going to search this place. You stand here." I nodded and watched him move slowly around the hall, gun aimed ahead. I slowly turned over the little girl and confirmed that she was still breathing. I laid her down beside the beaten woman in that living room, who was gazing up at me with frightened brown eyes. She tried to speak, but her bloated lips couldn't open far enough to form words. "What the fuck?" Cole's outburst of horror jerked me out of my stunned stupor. I jumped up and ran, calling out his name. I found him standing in the doorway of a bedroom, pointing at something inside and choking out incoherent words. What I saw in that room still has a special place in my nightmares. A naked woman lay on the bed, tied down by a thick, coarse rope that cut into her skin. Both her legs had been cut off at the knee and her arms at the elbow. The limbs had been dumped on the floor like a pile of sawed-off tree branches. Whole patches of her skin were missing and her throat had been slashed from ear to ear, the wound resembling a lipless mouth, and a man in black stood over her holding a rusty saw that was stained with blood and had bits of flesh caught in the teeth. He was looking right at Cole and when I recognised him, I wanted to puke. "Kevin!" "Get down," Cole screamed. "Get down now or I'll shoot." Kevin dropped the saw and held up his hands, but he didn't look shocked or frightened. He was grinning. "Hello, Morrison," he sneered. "Hello, Haley." I drew my gun and aimed it at him, my hands shaking. "What the fuck have you done?" Well, Kevin's smile grew impossibly wider and his grey eyes were cold, like two frozen ponds in a dead winter. Melinda and I were just having a bit of a disagreement, nothing worth calling the cops over, I assure you. "Shut your mouth, get down before I blow your brains out," Cole snarled. His face was bright red, the bulging veins in his neck and forehead like worms beneath his skin. I had never seen him so angry. "Do you think you're going to get away with this? Do you?" "Calm down, Morrison. I was only teaching Melinda a lesson." He smirked down at the mutilated woman on the bed. "Now she'll never leave me." Cole let out an angry roar and charged at Kevin, knocking him to the ground. After a brief struggle, Cole had Kevin pinned to the floor and was locking him in handcuffs. "Haley, call for backup." I ran out, thankfully leaving that nightmare room. I found a little girl sitting up and crying, blood painting her head red. The woman next to her had stopped gurgling and I knew she was dead. I knelt beside the girl and took her in my arms. "It's okay, you're gonna be okay." She kept pointing to a broom closet in the kitchen, whimpering and mumbling. "They're in there." I got up to investigate. Up close, I could see that the door was straining against whatever it was holding it in, and blood seeped through the hairline crack between the bottom and the floor. I opened the door and I found a shallow closet filled with human body parts. It was then that I passed out. Melinda White, Kevin's girlfriend of 1 year, was pronounced dead at the scene. So was her mother, who had been beaten to death with a cast iron skillet. The body parts in the bedroom closet had belonged to Melinda's second younger sister and her grandmother, and a cleaning lady. The only survivor was Melinda's little sister Elisa. It turned out that for the duration of their relationship, Kevin had been both verbally and emotionally abusive to Melinda. Things came to a head when he hit her during an argument and Melinda dumped him. So Kevin broke into her family's apartment and brutally murdered 5 of the 6 inhabitants, including his ex-girlfriend. Kevin didn't deny his crimes. Hell, he gloated about them, speaking of the horrible things that he had done as if they were the proudest moments of his life. It took me a long time to accept what had happened. I mean, I'd known Kevin was a sexist prick, but him turning out to be an evil incarnate, it was just too much. I seriously considered quitting the police force, but with help from my family, friends and a therapist, I came to the realization if I remained a cop, I could protect those around me and keep people like Kevin behind bars. Now I'm married to Cole and have a newborn baby girl. I'm currently on maternity leave, but I look forward to returning to work. Trying though my job can be, I've come to embrace my role as a police officer. I can't save the world, but I can preserve whatever good remains out there. There is just one problem. Kevin was put in a maximum security prison to await trial, but somehow he escaped. Nobody knows how he did it. He's been on the run for 6 years. Just last week, a young woman was brutally murdered in a nearby city. The killer left no trace, and the lengths he had gone through to cover his track led the police to believe it wasn't the first murder. I can't be sure, but something tells me Kevin has struck again. I just hope they catch him before it's too late. I'm going to hop straight into this. I'm an American police officer in the upper Midwest of the country. I'd get more into detail, but I feel like this is the type of shit that needs to stay vague. Pardon the language, but I'm shooting for answers here. I'm not trying to win any awards. That being said, this is just going to be a nitty gritty of what happened. No flair, no fibs, just the honest truth. As a police officer and former confinement guard, I've seen some shit, literally shit. People slathered in the crap. Throw a guy in a cell and the first protest he does is going to involve shit. That's explainable though. They know we won't want to deal with them when they're covered in shit. That's why they do it. What gets to me personally is something I experienced on the road that isn't natural. It's not explainable, especially to a rockhead like me. The night this happened was during the start of spring. It was my partner's first day out on patrol and I was the guy lucky enough to take care of him. I didn't mind it too bad at the time, to be honest. He was a good kid. Besides, we worked night, so having some company that had distracted you from falling asleep wasn't all that bad. The first night with someone new usually involves a good deal of introductions and a greater deal of fuckery, but that only gets you through half the night. Once that customs were over, the only thing left to do is to ask them about themselves, and of course, that was the excuse I used to get off the road for a bit. That night, I pulled my patrol vehicle down a dirt path of the main road. That road in particular doesn't lead anywhere, it just goes off to some hills and loops back to the entrance. This is the type of road a lazy cop like me loves. Only one entrance and plenty of space to hide in the darkness far from the main road. On a normal night, I would rack out in my seat and wake up just in time for changeover at the station. I know I'm a horrible cop, yada yada yada, but nothing happens out here, and if it did, I was never late to the show. So that night, me and my partner parked the vehicle about 1.5 miles into the darkness and shut off our lights. We were perfectly invisible from the main road. We made sure we tucked ourselves on the path behind the hill. We couldn't see the road, therefore the light couldn't see us. Logic. For about 1.5 hours, we were camped out there bullshitting with each other, when lo and behold, some headlights hit us. I remember thinking, fuck, this is it. I'm about to lose my job. Sure enough, pulling right up beside us was our supervisor's vehicle. I rolled my window down and so did he. I saw a grin on his face. "Oh, you sleep out here too?" We both laughed about it and then fooled around for a while. I got lucky that he was in a good mood and the fact that he's the type of guy to admit when he's no better than us. Had that been an inspector, we would have been out on the curb, quick. Now, here's where the weird part starts. Our station is about 15 minutes from our little hiding spot. Our supervisor tells us he's heading back to the station to heat up some food and that he'll be right back. He takes off. Me and my partner go back to sitting in the complete darkness of this road, talking to each other about something frankly I can't even remember. 15 minutes goes by since our supervisor left, and we get some headlights that hit us again. I remember looking at my partner and saying the supervisor's back early. I told my partner to roll down his window and I flashed our lights at him. Clear as day, we saw the vehicle pass us, Chevy, same make and model as our supervisors, same license plate, same everything. Inside was pitch black. We couldn't see a thing through it. But that's not unusual at night. The patrol vehicle passed us and kept going further down the road. He must have wanted to go further back, I thought. Once again, this isn't too strange. He was probably worried someone from the road might get lucky and see us. So I put our vehicle into drive and then turned around, only losing sight of the other vehicle for about 30 seconds. Once we made up a full 180, I remember seeing how far up the path his headlights were and kicking on the gas to catch up. This is where things get weird. Once they hit the loop at the end of the path, they had to turn around and face us. Our headlights hit them dead on, and I can tell you it wasn't one of our patrol vehicles anymore. They are still government plates, but the numbers were different than ours. The truck itself was a large all-terrain vehicle, a newer model. It kinda looked like a Sierra 1500 for those of you who don't know trucks. But this one had a few upgrades to it. For one, it had a spotlight on its roof, and two, it had a large visible cage in their truck's bed. I didn't turn my sight from their truck, but I spoke out to my partner. "What the hell is this?" "You saw a patrol vehicle pass us, right? Big badge on the side?" I heard my partner give out a mumbled, "Yep." I could tell he was staring at the vehicle in front of us. No one else is supposed to be on these roads. I tore my eyes over to my partner and saw him nod while still staring at the truck in front of us. We both had that feeling of something being wrong. I decided we needed to get some answers from these people, so I started to slowly pull up to his driver's side window, and as I did, I noticed our lights couldn't pierce through their windows. Once we stopped our patrol truck, driver's side to driver's side, with theirs, we began to roll down our window, and so did they. As soon as I tried to look at whatever was in the vehicle, my sight went to shit. Everything went blurry as hell. It was like having an intense migraine without the pain going along with it. It was like a comfortable fog in my eyes and in my head. I did manage to get out some words though. "Hey, who are you and what are you doing here?" I squinted in their direction, trying to see anything at all from inside the truck. All I could make out was a similar cage in the back seat, just like the ones we have in our police vehicles. As soon as I could make out that much, I tried adjusting my sight onto the driver. All I could make out was two shadowy blurs in the passenger side seat and the driver's side seat of the truck. I felt like my brain was taking a hot shit in that moment. I suppose luckily for us two, we got a reply from these blurs. The driver speaking to us happened to have a deep southern voice. As he spoke, he sounded so sure of himself, like he had the devil's tongue on his side. This is what he told us. "We're night shift, we patrol the roads." I remember nodding at the blurry driver and mumbling "alright" to him. He rolled up the window and took off in his truck. It took us a few seconds to contemplate what had happened. I even looked at my partner with a "what the fuck just happened" expression on my face. He spoke up before I did. "What the hell was that? I couldn't see a damn thing. Why'd we let him go? And what they said doesn't make any sense. We're the night shift, so who the hell are they?" I can't tell you why I didn't ask them more questions or why I let them go, but I did. At this point in time, I knew they couldn't be too far ahead of us, so I zipped our truck around and headed after them. We caught sight of the tail end of their vehicle as soon as they hit the main road. It was still in the same black truck we saw earlier. We decided to follow them. Now, we didn't have a reason to pull them over at this point. They weren't supposed to be on the dirt paths around here, but it wasn't breaking the law, and I, for whatever reason, already let them go for that. All we could do is keep tabs on them. We ended up radioing our supervisor while this was going on to get his location. We were sure he passed us earlier in his patrol truck. We figured maybe we didn't see him in the darkness of the path and ended up passing him before bumping into the black truck first. His reply over the radio was that he was still at the station and that he'd be on his way soon. Me and my partner shared a "what the hell is going on" look at each other. It only took about 5 minutes of us tailing them to see them head off down another dirt path near some train tracks. Anything not on the main road was pitch black, so we lost sight of them for about 3 seconds before we turned our spotlight on. You know what we saw? Nothing. Absolutely nothing but a dirt road heading off alongside some train tracks. No signs of headlights in the distance, no signs or tyre marks, just a flat old dirt road. Me and my partner got the hell out of there and returned to our station. We told the supervisor what had happened and he laughed it off and said we should have called for backup. So why the hell didn't we? Why the hell didn't we do anything at all? I wish I had an answer, but I don't. All I can say is in my head, it wasn't the right place at the right time. If anyone has heard something similar to this or has any idea of who the hell they were, please let me know. We're the only night shift cops in the area. This has been bothering me for a while, and my partner ended up being transferred to another station a few counties over, and I haven't heard back from him about this. So I'm pretty alone at this one. Thanks in advance for any help you can dish out.